Moms for Liberty really worked miracles.
We have a crisis in America in public education. This is the future of our kids and our country.
You are joyful warriors.
And we are just getting started. Good morning. Welcome to the Fire of Liberty show. Today is Wednesday, and it has been 1 week since our friend Charlie Kirk was assassinated in Utah, of all places, in cold blood, while he was just speaking truth. And we haven't really addressed it too much publicly at Moms for Liberty. It's been an awful week for us and for all of America. We have a wide range of emotions, watching everybody go through the steps of grief with sadness and tears and anger. As an organization, we fought for many of the same things that Charlie was fighting for. We have spoken out on many of the same topics. Charlie was a friend to Moms for Liberty. People have been sharing videos of him saying his favorite hate group was Moms for Liberty. We have videos of him talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center coming after Moms for Liberty. And that's when I first met Charlie in 2023, when the Southern Poverty Law Center put us on the hate map. Charlie and I connected. He was very concerned about what that meant for Moms for Liberty and just average moms across the country who were standing up for truth, for their children, for a better education in America. And so he gave us a platform at that time to let everyone know how awful Southern Poverty Law Center was. And so at the 1 week mark, we're watching a lot of things come to surface in America, which I don't think anyone expected. At Moms for Liberty, we're not surprised. For 5 years, we've been trying to tell you what's happening in America. We've been trying to tell you what's happening on campuses across our country. With other friendly organizations and partners, we've been trying to show you what's happening in America's classrooms and textbooks and assignments. We've been doing everything we can to wave the flag of warning. Some people have listened. We've grown as an organization, but most have stayed silent or put their head in the sand. And so the assassination of Charlie Kirk has been awful, but it has brought to light the things we've been talking about. And it's been very hard to watch people that we should respect, classroom teachers, for example, celebrating an assassination in the United States of America in the year 2025. People have been shocked. They can't believe that some of these people are teaching in their schools and in their classrooms. But in one sense, I'm glad it's finally coming to light. We don't want to be a mob. Moms for Liberty does not want to get mob mentality. We don't want to move into being just as bad as the people on the other side that we have been fighting. But these teachers need to be exposed, because you have an absolute right in America to be a horrible person. You have an absolute right to speak horrible things. You have an absolute right to say that you are celebrating the death of our friend. But that does not give you the right to access our children in a classroom for 8 hours a day. That does not mean that we have to use our tax dollars to pay your salary for you to be a horrible person in front of our children and try to teach them your horrible, hateful ways. And so at Moms for Liberty, we are continuing the fight. As hard as it is, many of us, I've seen group chats and comments and in our closed meetings that we're having, that some want to give up, some are afraid, and rightly so. But that's not who Moms for Liberty is. That's not what Charlie would want. He would want us to continue to stand, continue to speak truth. He would want us to carry on in our organization as they are over there at TPUSA and do the work we're going to do. And so we're back on today for our podcast. Here in Florida, I'm Tina Deskovich, the co-founder of Moms for Liberty. And with us today is our Texas ambassador and our chapter chair of Williamson County, Texas. Her name is Christie Slape. And it's remarkable how God works, because we book these out in advance, obviously. And I don't always know all the details about every one of our chapter chairs. I know some things, but when Christy filled out her pre-form for being a guest, she mentioned that for 6 years, she served as a grief counselor. And we talked on Monday about, what we were going to talk about on the show. And she shared her heart with me about what she's been through and what brought her to be a grief counselor in her church. And so she's the perfect guest this morning to talk about the things that we as an organization are going through and all of America is going through. And so we welcome Christie. She is a mom of 4 children, 1 brand new grandbaby. She is a former Spanish teacher. She comes from a family of educators. She's been married for 30 years, which is a very long time to be married. And we are really glad to have you with us this morning, Christie.
Thank you. It is such a pleasure, Tina. I think you encapsulated what so many of us are thinking and experiencing. So thank you for that tribute to Charlie. Charlie Kirk actually had a lot of influence on me. I'll maybe talk later about how my very first school board meeting that I spoke up at, it was because I learned something from Charlie Kirk's podcast, and I felt compelled to ask our school district about a new superintendent that was being hired, and if he knew these what his views were on things like critical race theory and the 1619 Project and things that I was just learning about. And so I thank Charlie for the legacy that he's leaving behind of activism and educating the public and his love for civil discourse. We have to be talking about the issues. So he is an amazing man, and his life will be, it will live on. I see him every day on social media in one way or the other. So in some ways I'm grateful. And then there are also images and things that we're seeing that are disturbing that I don't want to see. But his family, his wife is so strong, and his family and friends seem to be very strong, or at least putting on that front right now. But I do know from my own personal grief that every day is different. People grieve differently. Sometimes when we're grieving, people think that we just need some space, and what we really need is a hug, or we need prayer. So it's really important to really understand the oddity that grief is and help comfort people when they're
That's what I would like to talk about a little bit. I said in the opening, 6 years as a grief counselor you have served, and so you have a lot of experience with this. I remember someone in our family had passed away several years ago, and it was really impacting my son, and I tried to take him to a grief counseling, and it wasn't for him, but I know a lot of people find a lot of comfort in it. And I'm sure you've gained a lot of experience, 6 years as a grief counselor. So what do you think is happening right now as a whole in America? Because I see a lot of fighting, and I'm perplexed by it. It's a lot of people really close to Charlie too. If you're on X right now watching what's happening, they're fighting. And then, I was speaking this morning, and I can recall instances in families when people pass away, there's fighting. What is that about?
One of the things that we share with our grief groups is that grief brings out this tangled ball of emotions. I mean, and that's a quote. It's a mess of emotions. There are highs and lows. Some days you can spend the entire day crying. You can laugh. You can be angry. There's a popular book about the stages of grief. Not everybody grieves in a particular order. One day you and, let's say, your spouse or a close friend who have a lot in common may not see eye to eye. And it may be because someone is just hurting so badly inside over a loss. And the other person is experiencing peace and calm because they feel confident that that person who died is in a better place. And it is hard to wrestle with the idea that you might feel like everybody should be crying or everyone should be mourning, and other people want to celebrate a life that was lived well. And so I think a grief group where people learn and share about grief and what they're going through is important. The backstory is that my mother, who raised me, my parents are divorced, but I lived with my mom and stepdad for my whole entire life. My mom was my biggest cheerleader. She always told me, you're so smart. You can do all of these things that I was never able to do. She didn't have a college education, but she worked so hard. She worked for the county government in the tax and title office, and she also did voter registration. And as she retired later in life, and we had children, so she had grandbabies to love on and shop for, she started getting involved in local politics, and she helped register voters, and she became the president of a local women's club. It was a Republican club. And she would always ask me, have you voted? Have you voted? And I would say, Mom, we just voted just a few months ago. And she would say, but there's another election coming up. So she always kept me just aware of what was happening locally and would tell me about the candidates and things. So fast forward, I guess I was 40 years old. And one day I got a terrible phone call, actually a series of messages, because I had not been answering my phone at the time, from my stepfather saying, you need to come to our house. Your mom is unresponsive. EMS is here. We just need you to be here. So I rushed out to my parents' house. It was about a 30 to 45 minute drive. And I witnessed my mom, the EMS was doing chest compressions. They took her in the ambulance to a hospital. We were told that at the emergency room that she had had a brain aneurysm. She had explained over the phone to my stepdad she had a terrible headache out of nowhere. They life flighted her, and by the time she got where she needed to go, the neurologist said, there's nothing we can do. And so in the course of a day, which started off in our local park in our downtown, in our community, my kids were playing in a rock band. They had a little gig outside, and it was a happy day, and it turned into one of the most devastating, confusing, awful, terrible, very bad days. And that night around midnight, my sister and my stepdad and I made the decision. We knew that our mom had no brain activity. She wanted to give her organs. And so we let her stay on long enough to be able to make sure that she could donate her organs. And then we had to turn off the machine. It was terrible. It was terrible. And the next day I can remember waking up in my bed and just sobbing the moment I woke up, and most of that day, and just thought, what has happened? I've never experienced anything like that in my life. So, in speaking with the pastor at my mom's church, he said, we have a group that meets at our church. It's called Grief Share. And we're starting a class in, maybe it was like 2 weeks after my mom died. And he said, we'd really like for you to come. To me, sitting in a group, in a circle of people and talking about feelings, is just, I'm kind of a person that values efficiency. And to me, I just think I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
But I went, my stepfather, my mom's best friend and her husband, we all attended this group and met for 13 weeks. And I probably only made 4 to 5 of the meetings. But I learned so much about how people grieve, that everyone grieves differently, that you might feel like even though you have a relationship with God and he's there, you feel like he's not there because it's dark and it's just overwhelming at times. You're forgetful. You feel like no one understands how you feel. And I learned all of these important things and realized my church in Round Rock, Texas, didn't have a program like that. And so I spoke with my pastor and said, we need to have this group at our church. So that started Grief Share. And we had people from our church and outside community come, watch a video each week, have a workbook where you kind of process what you're experiencing, and then sit in a group with other men and women who have also had a loss, some recent, and some losses were, 10, 20 years prior, but people who had not really dealt with their grief. And so I had the opportunity to meet these wonderful people. And also many of them are widows. And we've developed a relationship over, I guess it's been about 10 years now, and host a widow's luncheon where we're able to just celebrate them and love on them. And of course, I think of Erica Kirk as a new widow, that she's going to need support and love from her friends and family. And I know she has that. But there will be days where she sounds very courageous and full of promise. And there will be other days where she doesn't want to get out of bed. The holidays, the first, her children's birthdays, Christmas, there will be an empty seat at the table. And that's really difficult. So I hope and pray that she's getting the grief support that she needs.
Yeah, that press conference, I guess she did, or speech that she did from his studio was, I think there was a lot of tears across the country watching her deliver that. I can't imagine what that took for her to do that. Why do you think, so many people I hear say, I didn't know him. It's not like he was my
Right.
friend. Why is this hitting me so hard? Why do I keep crying over this? Like, how can you grieve somebody you didn't even know?
That's a great question. I mentioned earlier that Charlie Kirk is all over the internet, and people related to him because they saw something in him that either aligned with their own views that may possibly, be squelched or silenced in their own community. And they saw in him a light of courage and identified with him. And like I said, people are on their phones a lot and see a lot of Charlie. And just like I think with a lot of celebrities, people think they know them. And, who you see online is not necessarily the person, but we've become a little more personalized on Instagram. People share stories. You get to see insights into their life. And so I do think people felt like Charlie was a friend and that he was in some ways supporting what they are trying to express, whether it's at the school board meeting or, in their local communities.
Do you think there's a different type of grief when someone has been assassinated or murdered as opposed to somebody with a long terminal illness in their elder years? Does that have something to do with the shock through the nation and the pain and the vigils that we're seeing?
Yeah, there's actually one of the lessons in Grief Share that really hones in on that, because it's like a double shot of grief, because you're losing someone, but losing them in a way that is so traumatic that it really does duplicate the pain. And, much like post-traumatic stress disorder for our military veterans, people who have witnessed the video, which I've seen.
And now millions have seen.
Yes.
I saw it within minutes. I opened X when I heard, and there it was. And that's what everyone keeps saying. Like, you couldn't unsee it. It was right there in front of you. And just,
it is important to talk about your grief. Sometimes people want to hold it inside, but it is cathartic to cry and to speak about these things. The other thing I liked really about the grief program that I led is that it continues after a loved one's death. There's the funeral, people are calling, maybe the wife or the daughter of the deceased person. They're calling and checking in on you and bringing you meals, and all of that. After a few weeks, it just fizzles out. It does. And having a grief support group or just a close group of friends and family that are committed to honoring that loved one for days and years to come is really important. And having people that will continue to talk with you when you feel like everybody's tired of hearing me talk about the death of my loved one. The discussions can continue through those hardest days when everybody else seems
so
to be
if you, from your 6 years of experience as a grief counselor, could give America 3 points right now, 3 things, ways to cope or things to do or just pieces of advice, what 3 things?
I would say, number 1, spend time alone with God in prayer, letting God know how you feel. He knows. He created us. He formed us in our mother's womb. He knows how we feel, but having that time of just solemn quietness. I remember I would wake up at 2:33 in the morning, wide awake after my mom died. And I couldn't sleep. And I would just go sit in this chair. It happened to be a chair that she had given me. And I would just sit and open up my Bible and just sit in God's presence. That's important, just to have that 2-way communication, praying, asking God for strength, and then listening to his voice. So that's 1. 2 would be to not bottle up your emotions, to share with someone, whether it's in a support group. There's, of course, Grief Share. It's griefshare.org for anybody who would like to look into that. It's a Bible-based grief support group. But maybe, again, it's just your family and that you talk to, but make a point of regularly celebrating your loved one's life. And I would just say, don't let the death of a loved one stop you from your mission. Don't let those feelings of overwhelm that will subside, don't let them control your life, because we do need time to properly grieve. But if we can let that propel us forward and give us purpose in our life, then we are able to use what in Charlie's case, the enemy used for evil, God can use it for good.
And we see that right
Mhm.
now with the youth. I think they're the most hopeful thing right now. I'm seeing all the adults argue and fight, and Charlie said this and he texted me that, and here's the screenshots, and he believed this and you don't know this and I knew him better, and it's just disgusting
Mhm.
to watch it all. But what is beautiful is the youth of America. Here in my community, a 17-year-old girl who's never really done anything like this before put together a whole vigil on the beach. Hundreds of people showed up. She was adorable. She had signs made. She walked me around. Here's the signs I've made. Here's this, here's that. And I said to her, I said, do you have a run of show? And she looked at me, right? She looked at me because and I said, in order, like written down who's going to speak when. And she was like, no. And people were coming up. I want to speak. And I was like, you got this. You got to get control of this. But she, so courageous, spoke on the microphone to those hundreds of people on her heart about how she admired Charlie and what he has done, and how she was willing to carry on that torch. And it's happening all across the country, and it's beautiful to see. And we've heard that TPUSA chapters are growing immensely, and their requests are like 35,000. As an organization that screens and processes chapters, I'm like, how are they going to process 35,000 chapters? It's crazy. So it's good news to hear. And so next I want to talk a little bit about, we are trying to just move on and continue to carry the torch and do the work here. And so one of the things we have coming up is our national summit, which we have our awards gala. And I think did I call you yesterday?
Yes.
Yesterday, we made the phone calls to all of our finalists for our Founders Awards. And for those that are listening, our Founders Awards are 7 awards that we give out. We have 6 of them named after founding mothers. And Christie is a finalist, one of the 3 finalists for the Deborah Sampson Award for Courageous Action. And so I was able to call you yesterday and tell you you were a finalist in that. So you had some great nominations.
That's so wonderful. I'm so humbled because whatever courage I have, I believe I've gained that from watching my closest circle of friends. They are the most courageous people I've ever known in my entire life. They carry the torch every day and we support each other, but shout out to my Williamson County chapter and the Texas chapter chairs. These ladies are amazing. I could not do anything without their support.
I think that's what even our winners every year, I think one of them, I think it was Tara Wood in South Carolina, called me after she won. And our moms are so amazing. She was like mad at me. And I said, well, Tara, you just won this award. We're so proud of you. And she said, but it shouldn't have come to me. Like, it's not about me. It's my whole chapter. It's these, like, they deserved the award. She said, can you change the whole thing so you just give chapters award?
Right.
Because she's like, every organization needs a leader. Every chapter needs a leader. And so I'm guessing, I don't remember who nominated you, but I know you had multiple nominations. And I'm guessing it was the people in your chapter that see you leading them.
Many of them are younger than I am, and I'm blown away. Sometimes I do the math, I feel like, what did I miss early on? How did I not know this? 2 of my friends that were on the school board in Round Rock ISD are both younger than me. And I would watch them on the board fight for freedom, fight for parental rights. And I was in awe and just wanted to learn from them. So I'm so grateful for everything they've taught me along the way.
Well, I'm excited for our gala at Summit, where we give out these awards to the winners. So 3 finalists, the Deborah Sampson Award. For those that are listening, if you don't know who Deborah Sampson is, Christy, do you know who Deborah? Do you know anything about Deborah Sampson?
I did look her up. Her story is actually quite amazing. She actually dressed as a man and fought in the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, we get some grief about that award every year. Our haters are like, "Oh, so you like cross-dressers?" And I'm like, "Well, it was in the Revolutionary War time, and it was to go fight alongside the men." And so she was
for freedom.
and for liberty and for the future of our country. And so I don't assume that you're quite like Deborah, but she took courageous action. I mean, to go out fighting in war back then isn't like wars even today. You know, when you realize what tools and weapons they had and what you had to endure, she was a strong woman. So congratulations on being a finalist for that. And for those that are watching, we hope you will join us for our national summit. We are 29 days out from summit. It's in Orlando, Florida this year. It is the most amazing experience. Have you been to summit before?
I have. I've been to 2, Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., and I'm blown away, really and truly. That first summit that I went to in Philadelphia, I saw I want to say the good, bad, the ugly. The ugly was the protesters, not Moms for Liberty.
Yeah.
But it was incredible. I had been studying, doing the biblical citizenship classes through Patriot Academy, and had studied about Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell, and I was able to see those in person. I actually tried to drag my family to go to the colonies and kind of do a whole historical vacation. They weren't having it before. Well before Moms for Liberty. I just felt like I needed to do that with my family. Really, it was during COVID when my youngest daughter, I was homeschooling her in a pod. And I said, maybe this fall we could go up to the East Coast. And they just really weren't that interested. So I loved the opportunity. I met some ladies on the plane on the way to Summit I'd never met, but I could just hear in their conversations, it sounded like they were my people. And sure enough, they were just coming from Tennessee to go to the Summit. And we went to the Liberty Bell together and toured Independence Hall. Yes. And it was a great experience. But meeting so many women who have as much or more courage than I do, who have been fighting the battles before I even started fighting these battles. I truly was in awe. And of course, the speakers. It was just a powerhouse packed group of speakers.
Yeah, and
nobody can pull that off but Moms for Liberty.
We've got another great lineup for this year. We've announced, 15 or 20 speakers so far. I'm going to tell you guys right now and announce another speaker that we actually going to put out on social later today. I hope. We've got Benny Johnson coming. He is right in the mix of everything right now. He was very close to Charlie Kirk. I don't know if you've been watching some of the things he's been putting out. When he told that story that he had never told before about having to get out of DC with his family, and Charlie opened his house to him in Florida and let them stay there. And he said some other amazing things that Charlie has done for him. And so we're excited to have Benny Johnson there. You know, he's been covering, he's got the White House press pass. He's been covering everything out of DC lately. And so I'm excited that he's going to be joining us. His wife, Kate Johnson, will be joining us, also known as Nurse Kate online. So you just got 2 speaker announcements on the Fire of Liberty show. She won't be speaking with him. She does her own thing, but she's very much a part of the Maha movement. And so we're excited to have her too. The lineup is going to keep growing. We've invited a lot of really big names. A lot of their schedules you don't know till closer to. So I hope everyone will get their tickets. I think we're going to take a break now for 1 minute, and you can watch this video about our national summit, and we'll be right back with Christie Slape from Texas.
Elena, what state are you from?
New York.
Hawaii.
I'm from Texas. Washington. I have my kids actually with me to do the march.
Wherever I go, odds are there is a Moms for Liberty group or a whole tribe in the room sounding off loud and proud.
And you could see the passion here because it's about supporting kids.
Pledge to each other that we will live like men and women who are determined to remain free.
I'm for parental rights all the way.
Welcome back to the Fire of Liberty show. I'm Tina Deskovich, the CEO and co-founder of Moms for Liberty. I've got Christie Slape here. She's our chapter chair in Williamson County, Tennessee. Texas. We actually have 3 Williamson County chapters. Yes. I'm sorry. She is our chapter chair in Williamson County, Texas, and she is our Texas State Ambassador. We've had a great discussion so far this morning about our good friend, Charlie Kirk, about grief and what that looks like in America. about Christie being a finalist for the Deborah Sampson Award for Courage, and about our national summit, which is coming up in 29 days in Orlando, Florida. You just watched a video about it. It's October 16th through the 19th at the Gaylord Palms. And we really want you to join us. Now is the time to be together with like-minded people. You will not find a more patriotic event. You will be inspired and uplifted about the future of America. You will be educated. The breakout sessions, honestly, even those, the breakout sessions don't have the biggest name speakers, but they have the experts on a lot of these issues. And people come away from our summit loving the main stage speakers, of course, but always they mention the breakouts and how important they are and what they've learned and the knowledge and the tools they're taking with them. And so it's going to be a great time. I'm sure there'll be some tears. We do plan on honoring Charlie in a segment of Summit this year, of course. And so please join us. Go to momsforliberty.org/Summit25 and get your tickets today. Christie, what one or two last comments about Summit? Your favorite things about Summit, why you think people should join us?
I just think it is an opportunity unlike any other. And as moms, we have so many responsibilities at home. We're caring for our children. We're trying to be great wives and keep our house clean and all of those things. But sometimes a mama has got to get away, and getting out of your environment, a change of place and a change of pace gives you the opportunity to rejuvenate, to strengthen your resolve, to mingle and dine, have some great food with people who share your values, and just laugh and have a good time.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned great food.
Yeah.
I'm a foodie, so I personally pick the menus. And so I our event planner Angela, she sketches them out and then brings them to me, and I'm no, that's not good food. We need better food. And so there's always good food. We actually had, I think, a hit piece written about us after Philadelphia Summit from Media Matters, or one of our haters that couldn't believe how we had so much good food. How could we possibly afford such good food at our event?
Food we didn't have to cook. So that's great.
Yeah, no, we try to treat our moms well at National Summit, but you don't have to be just a mom. We have dads, all kinds of activists and people. We'll be pushing out today, by the way. Another announcement here is Leadership Institute on Thursday. So Summit doesn't kick off till Thursday night, October the 16th, but during the day, Leadership Institute is coming in and they're holding a 3-hour class on AI and how to use it in policy and reading your school board agendas. Just the basics and working everybody up through it. So
that's incredible.
Yeah.
And so needed, because we're wondering, how can we use AI to be more effective? You know, when we went to the Patriot Academy campus in March for our chapter chairs, the ladies in my group, our campaign simulation, they said, we're small business owners, we use AI every day. And they were able to crank out the most incredible content using AI. And it really opened my mind to it can be utilized for good. But of course, as you know, it could be good. It would be used for harmful,
nefarious purposes.
That's the right word. Yes. So we do need to find out more about AI and how we can balance using it, feed the AI good things and not the bad things, and have some boundaries. I know you're working in Washington on that as well.
Yeah, we can, there's a lot to dive into there, but at Summit, we'll be talking about our relationship with the White House and AI and education. We'll be platforming debates and discussions on AI and education and where the boundaries should be, and ethical policies around AI development and education. And so it's important. So there's going to be a lot going on at Summit. So I'm glad you're going to be there. And I hope all those that are listening and watching will join us. And so I want to talk in this last couple segments here about you and your chapter and the work you guys are doing in Texas, and some of the work that you're proud of, some of the accomplishments that's happened there. Why don't you share a little bit of that?
Oh, there's so much. I feel like I get behind every week, and on the weekend try to catch up on all the other events, because we have been full speed ahead locally in our school district, which is always, my first love for Moms for Liberty is on the local level. And working in Williamson County, we just delivered 12,000 pocket constitutions to our middle schools.
Oh yes, Happy Constitution Day, everybody. That's how I had planned initially to have this episode built around Constitution Day, but other things have happened in this country that we needed to address, so we took care of that. But we don't want to forget that today is Constitution Day.
That's right. It's a big deal. And I know Kelly did a great job last week of talking about the Constitution and reciting the preamble and all those great things. So, so getting the pocket constitutions out is a big deal. Our members, we divide and conquer. We get those into the schools. Some schools are very eager to get those distributed to students. Others are a little more difficult, but we did have, in 2023, we did have the governor tweet because we had a story come up where a Leander Independent School District school, really the whole district, was basically saying that the pocket constitutions were too political and they couldn't hand them out. Right. So we did a little PR thing on that. And next thing you know, the governor is tweeting and basically the school district superintendent retracted and said, oh, there was some miscommunication. Of course, we'll accept the pocket constitution. So anyway, that's kind of a fun story.
It's not just, it's like nothing to gloss over because it's happened across the country. And there are school districts that will not accept a donation of pocket constitutions for their 8th graders. And just for the record, these aren't Moms for Liberty pocket constitutions. They're donated to us by 917 Society. Thank you, 917 Society, for always supporting our moms. I think we're approaching 2 million pocket constitutions being distributed, which is remarkable through our partnership with them. And the fact that we've had to pressure some school districts, shame them into distributing pocket constitutions is also a sign of what's happening today in American schools.
Yeah, so there's that. So that's always fun. In September, we did host a big teacher conference, and we had speakers come. We had a pastor, we had a constitutional lawyer come and speak to teachers about not leaving their First Amendment rights at the door of the government school where they teach. And it was a huge event. We had other coalition partners join us and help sponsor the event, including TPUSA. I got to meet our new field rep. Her name is Megan. Shout out to Megan, love her. But she came and shared, we'd really like to get some TPUSA high school chapters, which are called Club America. We want to get those started in our community. But honestly, the teachers that had signed up years ago to sponsor those TPUSA groups, they were chastised. They were hated in the school because of their conservative views and values. And it really led to the decline of the club. So I think now there's this amazing resurgence, and I'm hoping that those clubs can get started in all of our high schools. But there's that. We do have the districts like the one that didn't accept the pocket constitutions in my own district that are very liberal leaning. They're huge school districts. And some of our chapter members, we decided pretty quickly, even our 2 conservative board members thought, if we can't do anything on the local level to improve the situation, we need to go to the state level. And so thankfully, we now have a Texas legislative committee.
Wait. I didn't even put that in your title, right? Aren't you the co-chair for the state legislative committee too? My goodness.
Well, and I really do love the legislative, the whole thing. I just love it. I like going to the Capitol, and by default, I live very close to the Capitol. I'm about a 25 minute drive. And so myself and Tara Petch, and then Denise Bell from Harris County, she's our secretary. And so we lead that group, and we have a member from every chapter in Texas, and we voted on legislation. We had a full legislative session this year, beginning in January, and then we had 2 back-to-back special sessions. So that was a lot of time and energy reading bills and trying to advocate for them. And we spoke at public comment down at the Capitol on some of the bills, including the Texas Women's Privacy Act, which finally passed, which means that men cannot use the bathrooms and locker rooms of women and girls. And the governor will be signing that into law any day now.
Did you get pushback on that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
What did that pushback look like?
Well, for one thing, the transgender community came to the Capitol and testified against, because they feel like it's an attack on them. And the point that's missed there is that that is a very small percentage of people. Yes, we do not want anyone to be in a situation where they cannot use the restroom when they need to.
Right.
But there are millions of women and little girls who need to be able to change in a dressing room, use the restroom without the fear of someone who, it could just be a male who wants to cause harm, but we need to make sure that we have clearly defined spaces for biological women and girls and biological men and boys. And so we're thankful. Yes, we did have, I'm on X and I have people who like to, rip apart everything that we do, but that doesn't stop us because we're moms and we just keep smiling and fighting, all the way.
Why doesn't it stop you? And what would you say to someone that has put their toe in the water to try to stand up and they get beat down immediately, threatened? Any advice for them?
My advice is just stop listening to what everybody thinks of you. Stop putting your value in what human beings think. The Bible says that we are to seek God's approval and not the approval of man. And that is what I try to do every day. It's hard. You want to have friends. You don't want your neighbors to think you're a crazy person. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's right. And so for those people who are dipping their toe in the water and they're getting pushed back, I want to grab their hand and pull them along, because as a candidate for school board in 2022, boy, we, a slate of 5 people, we got the hate big time. And my husband and my children asked me to never run for school board again because the vitriol that came out, because we wanted to get back to the basics in education and stop promoting an ideology that, one, is contrary to my personal beliefs, but we decided we wanted to focus on math and reading, academics, and not all the social issues. And for that, we were brutalized online, in person, yelled at, and we didn't win the race, but it brought me to Moms for Liberty. So for that, I'm very grateful.
How did that bring you to Moms for Liberty?
So I have a friend who was on the school board. Her name is Danielle. And one of the things that she said to the 5 of us who ran for school board after the election, she said, the real question is, what are you going to do with all of those contacts that you made, all those relationships at every one of those campaign meetings and people who helped you knock on doors? Are you just going to let that fizzle in a spreadsheet somewhere on your computer? Or are you going to do something with it? And so at that moment, I thought, I don't want to lose this momentum, not for me, but for the mission of children, and giving children a proper education and supporting families and making sure our kids are educated, not indoctrinated. So it wasn't long. I happened to be at the Capitol with Danielle and my other friend, Mary, who was on the school board. And we bumped into Tara Petch, and I heard my name. I turned around and Danielle said, Tara, there's Christie right there. And Tara said, you need to start a Moms for Liberty chapter in Livingston County. And so that's kind of how it all started.
Well, Tara was our Texas ambassador,
right.
And now she's actually running our our national support team. So yeah. And so now you're the Texas ambassador. And so you've got to be out on the lookout like Tara, looking for those that want to start. We have a little joke behind the scenes that we never really publicly say, but we love losers at Moms for Liberty for the reasons you just said, because I lost my school board race, which led to the starting of Moms for Liberty. And it's funny, I won my first school board race and served for 4 years, but I remember praying about it, if I should run or not. And it was very clear to me that I should run, but it was also very clear to me that I didn't know if I was supposed to win. Even at that moment, I just knew I was supposed to go through the process of running and learning. And I did win, served for 4 years, but then I ran again and I lost. And so much is learned in those experiences of running, like you're out in the community like never before. You're meeting new people, you're speaking, you're learning how to speak, you're learning how to articulate, you're learning how to do media, and you're gaining a following in a sense of your ideas and your beliefs and your values. And so absolutely, I just want to say, if you're out there and you ran for school board and you are principled and you want to get back to the basics and you want to protect children, join Moms for Liberty. Use all of those tools and resources and experiences that you've developed, because we have a lot of people that are losers that have turned that around into something positive to help impact change at the most local level and at their state level. So
we have the opportunity to educate the public and expose things that wouldn't normally be exposed. So it is worthwhile to run, even if you're concerned that you may not win. I would say run for school board if there's an opening, and by all means join for Moms for Liberty. Yes.
Yeah, but run to win. Absolutely, run to win.
Yeah.
Reach out to us. We'll help you if we can. And if you win, we'll be there to support you. And if you lose, we'll plug you into a chapter. So
back to the legislative committee, I just wanted to say we did we endorsed a bill, the Parental Bill of Rights in Texas, that passed in the regular session. So that was signed by the governor. And
it's a big win.
Yes, and our Texas legislative committee had the opportunity, and our local chapter got the opportunity to go to the governor's mansion for the signing of that bill. And it was an incredible experience, and again met other people who are fighting for children and education there on the grounds of the governor's mansion. So we were really just honored to be a part of that, and we really stuck our necks out, because not everybody who shares a lot of our views were in favor of this school choice. I'm sorry, I got those two bills confused. We passed the Parental Bill of Rights, but we also passed the school choice bill. And that's when we went to the governor's.
Which was a really big deal.
Yes.
I know, most of our organization support school choice, but there are folks in our organization, especially if they're homeschool moms, that have concerns about school choice, and rightly so, because some school choice bills all are not equal in from state to state. And they're worried about their homeschool rights being stepped on by what's happening in school choice. And so, we don't need to get in the nitty gritty, but for Moms for Liberty to support school choice in Texas was not an easy task. And so to be there with the governor was probably a pretty big deal there in the end.
Exciting. Yeah, we literally so many bills that were passed that were really great bills. I mean, we'll see now that they have gone into effect September 1st, where there are some little things that might need to be tweaked in future legislative sessions, maybe loopholes that, somebody might be able to find. But for the most part, we are starting to have more support for getting the inappropriate books out of our school libraries, those that are sexually explicit. Obviously, we're not banning books, but we do want the ones with the most egregious, explicit content to be removed. And so we had a great bill, SB 13, that is doing that, the Parental Bill of Rights, school choice, and the Texas Women's Privacy Act. I am so thankful to have been a part of that and to help.
So we're going to transition here for a second. Sure. Would you say that you stand for truth?
I do.
Do you know what our 3 values are at Moms for Liberty? Do you know what one of them is, at least? I won't put you on the spot for all 3.
I would say it's we stand for truth.
It is we stand for truth. So at Moms for Liberty, we have 3 values. We stand for truth, we build relationships, and we empower others. And so we have a new line that's out today. I'm not sure. I'm being told to move the microphone.
There you go.
We have a new line that's out. We stand for truth. Here's the sweatshirt. We hope you'll go to momsforliberty.org/store. Is it store or store one? I think it's store. And you'll be able to it's embroidered. I mean, it's great. I think there's a t-shirt that goes along with it too. It turns out Christie likes this room really cold. And so part of me wants to put the sweatshirt on right now to warm up in here.
It's a great blanket too, right? A Moms for Liberty blanket.
We do have a Moms for Liberty blanket. But I love this line, we stand for truth. With everything going on in America right now, and with it being one of our values that we hold dear at Moms for Liberty. And it's one of the things we get attacked for the most, saying that there's 2 biological sexes brings on more hate than you can possibly imagine. And so we stand for truth. And I think that would be a great shirt and or sweatshirt. And I think there'll be more products maybe coming out soon with it on there to support. So if you want to support Moms for Liberty, you can always donate, but wearing our merch, buying the merch, all the proceeds go to supporting our organization. And so we are going to take this last few minutes here and wrap this up and just talk a little bit about being a joyful warrior. I would say I've seen you do your Mom on the Mission videos. And I've seen you
in my cowboy hat.
I've seen you in action at legislative meetings and school board meetings speaking. I've seen you interact with your colleagues within Moms for Liberty, and it appears to me that you are always a joyful warrior. So what drives you to be a joyful warrior? What is a joyful warrior? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I hear some people say happy warrior, and then some people say a joyful warrior. And to me, joy is a fruit of the Spirit that comes from God. And Charlie Kirk knew that. He knew Jesus Christ as his Savior, as do I, and was able to find joy and peace and patience and kindness, goodness and faithfulness and self-control, all of those fruits of the Spirit that come from having a relationship with God. And so for me, being a joyful warrior, that joy comes from Jesus. A warrior is someone who is prepared for battle, who has the tools, who has the knowledge, and is mighty and ready to go to battle. A joyful warrior is all of those things, but she has a song in her heart and a smile on her face, and she's ready to win for whatever the mission is. And our mission is parental rights and education. And so we try to stay in that lane and have that smile, but we also can be fierce. And that, to me, is a joyful warrior.
I think we could not have said that any better to describe what a joyful warrior is. And if you'll notice in the name Moms for Liberty, we're not moms for freedom. Liberty is different than freedom. We're not happy warriors. We're joyful warriors because there's a difference between joy and happiness. Right. And for those that want to pick those words apart and look into that, I think you'll really understand the heart of Moms for Liberty by knowing the difference between joy and happiness, and by knowing the difference between freedom and liberty. And so we're going to close out today's show with that explanation of being a joyful warrior from Christie Slape, who is our Texas ambassador, our Williamson County, Texas chapter chair, our Texas state legislative co-chair, and a joyful warrior, a finalist for the Deborah Sampson Award for National Summit this year. We've had a great conversation today. I'm Tina Deskovich, the CEO and co-founder of Moms for Liberty. This is the Fire of Liberty show, and we come to you every week live at 10 a.m. We'll see you next week.